Welcome to Equestrian Fitness for the Long Ride with the Sweaty Equestrian. I'm personal trainer and endurance rider Tamara Baysinger, and I'm here to help you ride stronger in a day and longer in your life. Hey rider, welcome back to the podcast. Hey, if you are enjoying the podcast, I want to invite you to get on my email list for my weekly newsletter. It's like a private blog post. I write it myself every week, no AI. And it's just kind of a bite-sized value for you. If you like this rider fitness information, you can get that in every week's issue. And it's always a different topic from the podcast. So if you're not already getting the newsletter, sign up. It's free. And you can get it at thesweatyequestrian.com/newsletter. And I'll put that link in the show notes too. Anyway, on the last episode, I talked about the mental side of rebuilding from injury because so many of us equestrians face that at any given time. And one of the things I covered was how we can find joy despite being set back by injury. But since then, I've been thinking, for some reasons I'll explain momentarily, that this idea of being set back applies to riders who are facing things other than injury. There are plenty of other things that can get between us and our goals. And this is kind of top of mind for me because I had a couple of big plans for this spring, this month. One of them was to do well at the Race to Roby Creek, which is a very difficult half marathon in my area. And it's difficult because it involves a very long climb for about 3/4 of the race and then a descent down to the finish. And I like doing that race because it's such a challenge. I've done it a few times before, and this year I really wanted to beat my own best time. And another goal I had for the weekend after that was to have my gelding Kokopelli do his first 50-mile endurance ride. Well, as I sit here 1 week out from the half marathon and 2 weeks out from that endurance ride, it's looking like neither of those things is going to happen. With regard to my own training for Roby, I had some foot injuries a couple of times in the last few months that delayed my training some and made me back off a bit. And then more recently, I took an entire week off work to focus on a farm project. We had a shop built last year, and that involved a hasty moving of all the horse paddocks, and the panels just never got set properly. They were getting all wonky, and the horses were starting to push them around. And it was just time to send the horses to a friend's house for a week, tear down everything, bring in a skid steer and an auger, and clear the ground, do some leveling, set new fence posts, tear down an old shelter, bring in a new shelter. And because that project involved renting heavy equipment that is not cheap and you only get it for a certain amount of time, we took the whole week off and we focused on that project. Well, my plan was to continue training for the half marathon as we also did the farm work. But it turned out that things just took longer than expected. We were working from dawn till dusk on this monster, and we got tons and tons of exercise, but the running just didn't fit in. You know, when you're at this stage getting close to race day, your long run is like 2.5 hours. Well, I didn't have 2.5 hours during that whole week. And that week was back to back with some travel to speak at a distance riding convention. And a few weeks before that, I traveled to speak at a different distance riding convention. All of that to say that my training was quite interrupted by a variety of things. And I can do the race. I'm still going to do the race, but I just know that I am not at the peak fitness that I would have liked to be to put in my best performance at Roby. So there's that. And then what about the horse? So Kokopelli, or Coco for short, is a horse that I bought last fall, and he's 5, coming 6 this year, and I was hoping to do his first 50-mile endurance ride at a pretty slow pace because he's only 5 this month. But as I just said, I've been really busy with a variety of things recently, but even before that, I was just super occupied with building the Leaner, Stronger Rider program for the Sweaty Equestrian, which just released this month. And between that and some training issues that I didn't really expect, I just did not get in as much conditioning for Coco as I would have liked to. Could he do a 50 in a couple weeks? Yeah, probably. But he's young, and I would rather keep him safe and happy than push it. So I think we're going to be ready for the 25-mile ride, not the 50-mile ride. So the reality is just that I am not ready for those goals for a robust Roby attempt or a 50 at the first local ride of the season. And you know what? I feel fine about it. Why though? I had to ask myself, why am I feeling okay with this? Because it's not really in my nature to pursue big goals and not get them. I'm motivated by chasing my goals. So why am I feeling okay about the fact that neither of these goals for April is looking particularly realistic at this point? So I was thinking about this, and I think that what it really comes down to is that I have a choice. I have a choice between frustration or reframing. And I think it boils down to 3 questions that I was implicitly asking myself, and then I started explicitly asking myself. And those questions are, what can I still do? Did I get what really mattered? And what else did I get? So when I look at the situation that I'm in, and I ask myself that first question, what can I still do? Well, like many athletes, I have ABC goals for things. For the race to Roby Creek, my A goal, my top goal that I really wanted to achieve was getting a personal best time on that race. But I had a B goal that I would be fine with, and that goal was to run the whole race as opposed to running and walking it. And my C goal is just to finish, even if I have to walk some. So we already know that chances are I am not going to get my A goal. I would be shocked if I found myself getting my best Roby time. But B and C are still on the table. Can I run the whole race? Maybe I can. And I know for sure that I can get my C goal. I can definitely finish that 13.1 miles, even if I have to walk some. And then what about Coco? My A goal for him was to do his first 50 at the local ride in April. But my B goal was to do the limited distance or 25-mile ride, and looks like I can probably do that. I also had a C goal, and that was just to get there and trail ride and let him have the experience of being around all those horses in that race environment. So the whole idea here of asking the question, what can I still do? The idea is that suboptimal doesn't mean all is lost. I can still achieve a goal, even if it wasn't my capital A goal, the goal. I can still do something that's meaningful. Question number 2 was, did I get what really mattered? For Roby, what did I really want? What did I really want in training for that challenging half marathon? Well, I wanted to build and test my fitness. I wanted to see if I can still do the half marathon distance. I wanted to strengthen my uphill running ability. And I wanted to go through a unique phase that I like to include in my own athletic training year. And you know what? I did get those things despite not being eligible for my A goal. I still got all those other things that I really wanted out of it. And by the way, this is kind of a sidebar, but I'm actually really looking forward to getting past the race. I'm looking forward to doing it, not just having it over with, but I'm also looking forward to the next step and moving into the next phase of my personal training cycle and resuming strength training more. I turn 48 next month. And I tell you what, I am definitely noticing that I do not hold on to muscle as easily as I did when I was younger. Anybody else notice that? Yes, of course. We all hit this point. So after this cycle of focusing on my running, I am very lean. I have a very flat stomach right now, but I also have a very flat butt because I have lost muscle mass. And I'm running, 5 to 8 pounds lighter than I would like to be because I'm not holding on to as much muscle as I normally would because I haven't had as much time as I normally would to strength train as much as I normally would alongside the running. I've put my limited time toward the running and I've lost some muscle mass, which is not a great thing for long-term health and strength and athletic ability. So I am excited to shift into a hypertrophy phase that is a phase that is focused on building muscle mass and also strength. This whole idea of phased training with different focuses at different times is something that I teach inside the Sweaty Equestrian membership. And it's so important, I think, not only to not getting bored with the same old workouts all the time, but also with continuing to build well-rounded fitness over time. And I find that I enjoy the process more as I can continue to address different goals at different times and refocus and feel excited again. So anyway, I got the benefits of training for Roby, even though I'm probably not in the running for my personal best. What about Coco? What did I really want out of that goal of doing the 50 miler at this upcoming endurance ride? Well, what I really wanted was to get to know the horse. I haven't had him all that long. I wanted to resolve any training issues, and I did find some. He was not great initially about going out alone. He was very interesting about trailer loading alone. And also, when I got him, I knew that he'd bucked a few people off. And so I was a bit nervous about whether he was going to buck me off. So I was riding him kind of in that state of not knowing, like every time he puts his head down or gets a little sticky and doesn't want to go forward, are we looking at a possible buck here, or is this something that I can safely push him through? So we were just getting to know each other, right? All that and wanting to build his fitness, of course. Well, guess what? I did get most of those things. I didn't get quite as much of his fitness as I would have liked. I don't feel quite ready to put him in a 50, but he will basically be there after we do this 25-mile ride anyway. That's kind of the last push that he'll need, along with continued conditioning after that. And he'll be ready for 50s anyway. It's fine. So did I want to perform well at Roby and do a 50 on Coco in 2 weeks? Sure. And I'm not going to get those things. But I still got all the other benefits of giving it the best try that I could manage. So when I'm talking about this choice between frustration and reframing, I already asked, what can I still do? Did I get what really mattered? And then I think it's also fair to ask the third question. What did I get instead? Or what did I get in addition to all those other things that were not my primary goal? Well, it looks like maybe I'll get to do Roby with Mr. Sweaty, my husband, who also had disrupted training and will not be running at his best. So usually we go at different paces. We may still do that. Strangely, I may possibly be the faster one this year because he had even more disruptions than I did. We'll see. But maybe a little side benefit here is that we'll end up doing it together, and that would be super fun. What else? I will probably end up doing Coco's first 50 miler with a good friend of mine and her first timer horse instead of doing our first 50s with those horses separately. So that'll be fun. I also got that Leaner, Stronger Rider program built, tested, released. This is a substantial project. It's a 12-week program for riders who are tired of that frustration of trying to lose weight and then gaining it back every time you have a moment's lapse in your low-calorie diet. You know the deal. Leaner, Stronger Rider is not a rapid weight loss program because, as you may have already discovered, those don't work, at least not for long. So I spent a lot of time developing this program where I teach you step by step how to totally reset your metabolism so that you can trade body fat for lean muscle and maintain a healthy body composition for life while having more energy and strength to support your riding. The first cohort of riders are already through the program, and it's now released for year-round access. And actually, this month, you can get $70 off for the program launch special. Let's see. I don't have a special page on my website for this yet. It's that new. But if you go to the Start Here page at thesweatyequestrian.com, you will find it. There's a big logo there that says Leaner, Stronger Rider. You'll find it. I'll also put a link to that Start Here page at thesweatyequestrian.com in the show notes. Anyway, the other thing that I got out of this whole experience and that I've been really thinking about as I was preparing to record this episode was affirmation of personal growth, because as I mentioned, it's not historically been in my nature to be content with falling short of my goals. But here I am finding myself older and wiser, I guess, because I am truly at peace with this situation. And I feel like I have actually managed to genuinely make the right choice between being frustrated or reframing. And those questions, I'm going to write these down and keep them. What can I still do? Did I get what really mattered? And what did I get instead or in addition to what I had hoped for? Because I think that is a really good way of looking at these situations that come up for all of us who want to compete either as athletes ourselves or as equestrian athletes with our horses. Sometimes I think people think that I have it all figured out because somehow I managed to stay fit and cook all my own food and compete on the horses and work a day job and operate the Sweaty Equestrian, blah, blah, blah. So I hope that this brings us all back to reality. I have plenty of glitches and shortcomings and setbacks and failures, just like anybody else. But I think that the real keys to success there are two of them, I think. Persistence, just consistently chipping away day by day, step by step at these massive projects and goals. And also more what I talked about today, which is the process orientation in favor of an outcome orientation. Getting satisfaction from the effort and the learning rather than the medals or the statistics. It's kind of cliche, but it really is about the journey rather than the destination. So I hope that's a helpful reminder for you. And speaking of reminders, remember to hop on over to thesweatyequestrian.com/newsletter to get on my email list, and I will send you more tips on how you can ride stronger in a day and longer in your life. Want to get more sweaty? Subscribe to my newsletter at thesweatyequestrian.com/newsletter. And remember, You have what it takes to be a full athletic partner for your horse. Saddle up strong.